Geoff, I know that you guys didn't get the start that you wanted, but it did feel like you guys settled in and were getting zone time throughout most of the first and second period, and then sort of things fell apart after that Mangiapane goal. Is that sort of how you felt the game went?
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. I mean, the first goal against is just it's an unforced turnover in the neutral zone. Like, that gets us back on our heels a little bit, and I thought we had a good push at the start of the second period, but the two late goals, I mean, they're killers, obviously. After we got the game to 2-1, and it's the same thing again. Like, it's not what you make all the time, it's what you leave. And to leave those opportunities that we gave them after making the hockey game 2-1, it's inexcusable.
Was it a lack of concentration a little bit after the goal and seeing the end of the period? Do you have any sense?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. Yeah, it's probably, lack of awareness, lack of concentration. I mean, when you're, you have to understand the time and the score at all times. You have to understand the flows of the hockey game, and it got to 2-1. They came back, they bumped up, and they got rewarded on two shifts. And we've got to do a much better job in terms of how we react to that, and we got to get ourselves ready to go. And it should be us that's trying to bump up after scoring a goal, not playing in our own end twice and giving up two.
Thank you.
Francis.
Geoff, did you consider during the second intermission pulling your goalie?
Yeah, we talked about it. When they got the fifth one, I thought, it was a good opportunity to get David in, get him some work. At that point in time, after that fifth one, there wasn't much going on. It was a lot of garbage time the rest of the way. So we felt it was a great opportunity to get him in, get Markey out. And yeah, we did talk about it after the second.
And at the tail end of a game like that, when it's out of reach and you've got 10 minutes to play still, am I too old school in thinking that you would like to see a little of emotion, maybe some pushback, some bite from your players, or is that too old school?
Yeah, no, it's not too old school. It's absolutely true. I mean, there's something to be gotten out of every period that you play, and you're trying to win the period. You're trying to compete. Like, there's an awful lot that we can, with a good period, we can set ourselves up for, but yeah, I thought, when it got to 5-1, we needed to bear down and do some things. And, it's, there's a place for old school in the game. There's no question.
And finally, just when you look back at this series, that's 4 games against, obviously an important rival. How would you sum up your team's play over those 4 games?
Inconsistent. I think it's probably the best way. But we've been talking about that for a while now. It's time to put this thing to bed and take charge and take control of what we can. And, we certainly can control the way we start. We certainly can control how we pay attention to details, how hard we compete, how much we care. All those things are certainly within our control. It's time for us to start giving a shit about it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Go to Ryan Pike.
Hey, Geoff.
Hey, Ryan.
You mentioned the starts. I know dating back a while, the first periods have been an issue at times. I guess, how concerning is it for your group that you keep having, these slow starts? And, I know there's been a lot of times in the first periods where you guys have been sort of down a goal and having to sort of dig yourselves out.
Yeah, it's concerning. There's no question. I mean, it's something that we have to get solved. And for me, there's no excuse not to be ready to play a hockey game. Really. I mean, this is the National Hockey League. It's the best players in the world. And I mean, they know how to prepare to play. So, it's, we've got to solve it for sure. But I mean, these guys have played enough hockey to understand what they need to do in order to get themselves ready to play. They know what their ideal performance state is and how to get into it and all that kind of stuff. And they've got to start getting there. I mean, I shouldn't say that they've got to start getting there. We got to start getting there as a team. It's just not one or two guys. We've just got to do a much, much better job of it, as a team getting ready to play. And there's no excuse for it.
Darren Haynes.
Geoff, when you talk about inconsistent play, there's not practice drills, I'm guessing, to solve something like that. What tools do you have at your fingertips to try and solve that?
Well, work one. A lot of things, there's a lot of issues are solved just by working hard and competing. So, that's gotta become more consistent for us for sure. 100%. We got to move our feet a lot more consistently than what we do right now. I mean, when we skate, we can play. When we don't skate, you got no chance in this league. And, so those are two areas that we need to start. And then obviously paying attention to the details of the structure. We've got to do a much better job in certain areas there. I mean, it's when you play with structure, your skill has a chance to come out. If you play with no structure, you got no chance. So, those are all areas that we can address, but it all starts with work ethic.
Right. So but from as a coach, is there, like, what can you do? Is it just kind of one of those frustrations where it's kind of out of your hands?
No, it's not out of our hands. We've got to make sure that we practice at the right pace. We got to make sure that we're accountable to each other for our work ethic and our compete. We got to put some of that stuff in practice. We've got to demand execution. There's a lot of things that we can do to help it.